NFL tier list time. These are my predictions for how many wins each NFL team are going to get this season. As I'm recording this video, I'm actually watching NFL Red Zone right now, Sunday Night Football, so I'm a bit late to this. But nonetheless, let's just get straight into it. Start off with the Miami Dolphins. Now look, the Dolphins, interesting offseason. They let Jalen Ramsey go. They let Jonnu Smith go. They've got an unreliable quarterback, in my opinion, in Tua Tagovailoa, who, of course, is dealing with concussions, inconsistency. They've brought in Minkah Fitzpatrick. You know, they've got a very solid running back in Devon Achane. They've got a possible best receiver in the league in Tyreek Hill. But I just don't see much from the Dolphins this season. I'm going to start them off at 6-9. And that's going to be at this end of 6-9. I don't think they're going to do much this season, if I'm honest with you. Look, could be surprised, but I'm putting them there. Buffalo Bills, let's just put them straight in there. 14-17, Super Bowl contenders. I don't think that is ridiculous to say. They've got the reigning MVP and Josh Allen as their quarterback. The guy's ridiculous. He's my fantasy quarterback, so I'm hoping he balls out again this season. I think it would be stupid to not put the Bills in a 14-17 win team, if not a Super Bowl contender. The Patriots. Now, the Patriots are one of my favorite teams this season to look out for. The Patriots, for me, this season are a team just to watch closely. They've drafted Will Campbell, of course, Travion Henderson in the first and second round of the draft, respectively. Got Drake May, who's up and coming, had a great year last year. Adding Will Campbell to protect Drake May is going to be a huge change, and people will see it in the years down the line. I'm going to put the Patriots at 6-9 as well. I don't think they're quite there yet for 10-13, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get here. But I'm going to put them in 6-9 just to be safe. Probably 8 wins, maybe just a losing season, 8-9 record. The Jets I'm going to put in less than 3. And unfortunately, the Jets are in a situation where they've got a ridiculous roster. Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Breece Hall. Justin Fields on his day is a good player. You know, like there's nothing there to gel them together. So, look, I could be wrong here. I'm going to put the Jets in less than 3 wins. I don't see them doing much this season, you know, that they did different from last season. The Ravens, Super Bowl contenders, 14-17 wins. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, you know the gist, okay? They are definitely Super Bowl contenders. Missing out of the past few years. They've been probably the favorites from the AFC. It's these two are interchangeable for who is going to win the AFC this year. It's definitely the Bills or the Ravens. Wait, so the Bengals. The Bengals, I'm going to put in 10-13. At the bottom of 10-13, I think they will have 10, maybe 11 wins this season. They've got Joe Burrow, obviously previous year's comeback player of the year. They've re-signed Trey Hendrickson. Best wide receiver, arguably, in the league in Jamar Chase. Chase Brown is looking all right. It's just the defense. This is the problem with the Bengals, is that their offense is ridiculous. You know, having a triangle of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins is ridiculous. But they don't have much of a run game, and they don't have much of a defense except for their defensive line, which you could maybe get away with simply due to the force that Trey Hendrickson brings. I'm going to put them in 10-13. Who knows, when I get further down, I could bring them down. But I'm going to start them here. Now, the Browns, I'm wearing a Myles Garrett jersey right now. I'm not necessarily a out-and-out Browns fan. I do like the Cleveland Browns, but I'm going to have to put the Browns in 3-5, man. There's just a problem in Cleveland where you've got a quarterback problem. Obviously, they've let Kenny Pickett go. Deshaun Watson's not there, so they've got 3 quarterbacks. Flacco is, you know, Joe Flacco is the starter. Gabriel, the backup, should do a 3rd string. Joe Flacco is a proven Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's old. Can he lead them to a playoff run? Probably not. Can he lead them to 6 wins? Also, I don't think so. I think having a defense with Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, obviously, those are unbelievable superstar players. I don't think it's enough to really, you know, bring this team success again. I mean, look, they've got a promising rookie in Quinshon Judkins, obviously out of Ohio State, national champion. We'll see what he can do. Jerry Jeudy could ball out, but I'm just going to leave the Browns in 3-5 for now. The Steelers, I'm going to put them at 10-13, but above the Bengals. They are a win-now team, signing Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, re-signing Cam Hayward, you know. They've let guys go, Najee Harris, you know, George Pickens. They've let guys go, bringing in DK Metcalf. I just don't see a very easy run to the Super Bowl And, look, maybe not even the playoffs, because the Steelers aren't beating the Ravens in the division, in my opinion. So it's going to be an interesting scenario to see if they finish as one of the top wildcard teams. They should, realistically, in the AFC, finish as one of the top wildcard teams, but I'm going to put them in 10-13 win. The Texans is an interesting one, because they could be in either one of these two. I'm going to put them in 6-9, but I'm going to put them ahead of the Patriots because I think they're going to finish with 9 wins. Simply because I think CJ Stroud is going to have a bit of a redemption season. Nico Collins is healthy. Of course, Tank Dell is out for the season. They've lost Stephon Diggs. They've lost Larry Tunsil to protect CJ Stroud. I don't know. The Texans, they're an interesting team to watch out for. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what CJ Stroud can do in his 3rd year. But I'm going to put them here above the Patriots. Possibly a 9-8, 8-9 season for the Texans. The Colts, I'm putting in 6-9. I think they're also going to get, maybe you can interchange them with the Dolphins. Actually, you know what? Colts 5 wins. I just don't think Daniel Jones has proven himself as a starting quarterback yet in this league. Obviously, dropped by the Giants, picked up by the Vikings, and shipped off to the Colts. He's been named starting quarterback ahead of Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman. Jonathan Taylor's a very good running back. Obviously, they've got him there. I don't know about the Colts. They could be a 6-9 team. They could be a 3-5. I'm going to put them in 3-5 for now, above the Browns. The Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are a 6-9 team, but not higher than the Patriots. They've got Trevor Lawrence, who's slowly becoming a top quarterback in this league. He's slowly getting there. I think, having Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter's been named a full rep receiver. He's going to be taking all downs at receiver, partially playing corner. I think they're a good team, man. Josh Hines, Allen, and those guys on defense. The Jags are slowly becoming a better team, but I'm going to keep the Jags here for now. And I might move the Dolphins down one. I'm going to move the Dolphins down one. I think the Dolphins get 5 wins this season. The Titans. I'm going to put the Titans in less than 3 simply because it's Cam Ward's rookie year. They don't have much of a wide receiver core. Calvin Ridley's their wide receiver 1. I mean, who's their running back? Jay Spears or Tony Pollard. I'm not even sure who their running back 1 is. But I'm going to go Titans in less than 3. Cam Ward could have a Jaden Daniels-esque season this season. We said the same thing about Jaden Daniels last year, and look what he did. He made it to the NFC Championship. Do the Titans make it to the AFC Championship? I'm not so confident. Who knows? I could be wrong. I'm just going to put them in less than 3 wins. The Broncos. The Denver Broncos, 10-13 wins. I'm going to put them of the Bengals below the Steelers in 10-13. The Broncos are legit, man. The Broncos may have the best defense in the league, and that's a bold statement, but they do. Pat Surtain, Jade Barron, their defensive line's very good. They've brought in Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, both from the 49ers. I think they're a good team, man. Bo Nix had a great rookie year. Arguably the best rookie year behind Drake May and Jaden Daniel. I don't know if they're quite Super Bowl contenders just yet. They're still quite young. The Chiefs 10-13. Or do I put them above or below the Broncos? That's the this is the thing with the Chiefs, is that we're so used to putting them up here as Super Bowl contenders, but I think this might be the first year where we see them slip. I mean, I'm making this video after Friday Night Football, and obviously Xavier Worthy got taken out by his own teammate. They lost to the Chargers. Pat Mahomes looked decent. I just don't think he has the wide receiver core, missing Rashee Rice, having to rely on his run game himself rather than Isaiah Pacheco. The offensive line, they've got Creed Humphrey, they've got Trey Smith, but it's looking a bit shaky. Especially the offensive line is looking a bit shaky. Chris Jones was kind of getting battered by Joe Alt on Friday night. And it looked effortless for Joe Alt. So, I don't know. I'm putting the Chiefs here. I could be wrong. I keep saying that. I keep saying I could be wrong. Obviously, I could be wrong. But this is what I think. I think the Chiefs finish 10-13. The Raiders. The Raiders, I think, are going to be 6-9. Maybe at the end of this. No, I'm going to put the Raiders in 3-5. But above the Dolphins. I think the Raiders with Geno, Ashton Genty. I'm going to put the Raiders in 3-5. Now, this is my shout for the season. The Los Angeles Chargers are Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, this is recency bias. But watching them on Friday night in Brazil, I thought they were unbelievable. Specifically Justin Herbert. I think he looked like an MVP. I genuinely think he could be in the MVP conversation. I know Stephen A. Smith said this on First Take the other day. I could see Justin Herbert taking the Los Angeles Chargers to the Super Bowl this season. I'm not even kidding. He just looked effortlessly smooth. His passes were on point. He's got a rocket of an arm. He's shown that he can run. Brought in Najee Harris. They've got Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. Keenan Allen's back. Quentin Johnston looked great on Friday night. I know everyone's been taking the mick out of him during practice for dropping balls. Didn't drop a ball when he scored that touchdown. I'm putting the Chargers Super Bowl contenders, man. I genuinely think they're going to win the AFC West. You know, it's a bold shout, but I genuinely think it's a new era in Los Angeles. I think both teams, you know, I've got the Rams down here. I think both Los Angeles teams could go to the Super Bowl this year. And that's just how I see it. I think it's a very good chance we could have an all Los Angeles Super Bowl in 2025. Chargers versus Rams. I'm there. Let's do it. They both look great, you know, led by Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford. You know, the Rams have brought in Devontae Adams. They've got a great wide receiver one in Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams looks great. A real possibility that the Chargers beat out the Bills and the Ravens in the AFC and the Rams win the NFC. It's a real possibility. In these two teams in LA, I think, are great shots for the Super Bowl this season. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win 4, maybe 5 games this season, in my opinion. And they've let Micah walk to the Packers. Dak looked all right against the Eagles. I think he looked better than I was expecting him to. Their only hope on defense is Trayvon Diggs when he's healthy. And I know that DeMarvion Overshawn is now back from injury. He's a great prospect to replace a guy like Micah Parsons as an outside linebacker or even an edge. But there's just not much hope there. You know, CeeDee Lamb's great. George Pickens is great. But they're the same receiver competing for wide receiver one at the same time. I say that because it's very easy to tell an average receiver, look, you're playing behind CeeDee Lamb, okay? Deal with it. But you're dealing with George Pickens, okay? The guy is known to have an attitude. He's known to be a bit eccentric. But I don't know how that's going to work, man. It's going to be very interesting. Especially after letting Micah walk. That was, in my opinion, a huge mistake. But that's it for the Cowboys. I think 5 wins, maybe. Let's see. Now, the Giants. These are my guys this season. I think the Giants are going to be the funnest team to watch this season. I'm putting them straight in there. 6-9. Giants. This is what's going to happen. Russell Wilson's going to start the season off poorly. They're going to lose a few games. Jackson Dart comes in. Changes the game. He's going to be the Bo Nix, the Jaden Daniels of this season. He's going to ball out, okay? The Giants are a huge dark horse. Not to make the playoffs quite yet, in my opinion, but they're going to be fun to watch nonetheless, okay? I think they've got the best defensive line in the league in Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and drafting Abdul Carter. They've brought in Javon Holland. You know, the team is put together. They've got a team that it could do bits, you know. Their run game isn't great. They've got a great wide receiver one in Malik Neighbors. Wan'Dale Robinson's great. I think there's potential there for the Giants. I do. They're not going to be New York's team quite yet because the Bills exist, but the Giants are going to be so fun to watch this season, in my opinion. The Giants, maybe 6 or 7 wins this season. That's what I'm expecting for them. The Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl contenders. Nothing much to say there. They're probably the most complete team in the NFL. Jalen Hurts, unbelievable on Thursday night. Saquon looked exactly like he did last season. You know, you've got arguably the 2 best wide receiver 1 and 2s in the league. You know, combination or partnership. Best running back in the league. Best offensive line in the league. You know, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, you know, Leonard Dickerson. That's the best offensive line in the league, and it's not even close, in my opinion. So the Eagles are the most complete team, arguably, in the NFL. I think it wouldn't be a surprise if they go to the NFC Championship and eventually to the Super Bowl again this season. The Commanders, I'm going to put them in 10-13, above the Bengals, but not above the Chiefs. I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate what they did last season. They obviously shocked everyone by going to the NFC Championship. You know, during a first year of a rebuild where the previous year they were, 4-13. yeah, I'm going to put the Commanders over here. Could interchange with either of these three. I don't know if they'll be better than the Steelers this year. Definitely up there in the 10 and 13 range. The Bears, 6 and 9. Not much to say there. Caleb Williams will have an alright season, in my opinion. I'm not going to put them above the Giants because I think the Giants are going to be fun to watch, but I will put the Bears in 6 and 9. The Lions, Super Bowl contenders. I think a lot of people are downplaying the Lions this season just because they got absolutely smacked by the Commanders last season in the divisional. The Lions are a great team, man. They don't have a flaw. Their quarterback is a great quarterback, arguably top 5 quarterback in the league. They've got they're probably the best running back partnership in the league in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who they've just re-signed. And then you flip over to defense, and Aiden Hutchinson's back. The guy was on track for a career year last season, had 5 sacks in one game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers until he broke his leg against the Cowboys. They've got a team there, you know? Kobe Joseph, Teron Arnold. The Lions are legit, bro. And there's not much that they need to add to that team to be great. I think the offensive line's all right. Defensive line is great, led by Aiden Hutchinson, of course. I think they're definitely Super Bowl contenders again. This is the thing. We have a lot of big powerhouses in the NFL at the moment. I'm going to put the Lions here above the Chargers. A lot of big powerhouses that could make it to the Super Bowl. And speaking of, I think the Packers could go to the Super Bowl. And this is the problem, because it's not a problem. It's a great problem to have, because we have so many teams here that could go to the Super Bowl this year, especially the Packers now. And it's literally just because of the addition of Micah Parsons. If they hadn't signed Parsons, I would have put them 12 wins maybe. They've brought in arguably the best edge in the NFL in Micah Parsons. Jordan Love is on a upward trajectory. He looks great. Josh Jacobs, top 10, top 6, top 7 running back in the NFL at the moment. They've drafted Matthew Golden. The Packers are looking good. They're looking all right. The Packers in 2025 are what the Commanders were in 2024. Look, in their division, they've got the Lions to worry about. It's not, I don't think it's going to be much of a competition that the Lions and the Packers will be the two NFC North teams and will definitely make it to the wild card, you know, whoever finishes second. So I'm going to put the Packers as Super Bowl contenders. The Vikings, I think they go 6 and 9. They started great last season, 5 and 0. You know, and the only reason I'm putting them there, JJ McCarthy, he's not proven yet. He had to sit out his whole rookie year. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league. Put them above the Patriots, though. I think they'll get 8 wins or so. The Falcons, I'm going to put them about here. You know, interchangeable with the Jags and the Falcons here. I think it could go either way. Michael Penix Jr. obviously coming in for his technically second year. He played the back end of 2024. I think he looked great. They've got a great core there. Bijan Robinson, arguably the best running back in the league. You know, it looked great last season in his rookie. I think their receiver core is very good. Drake London looked great last year. Darnell Mooney looked great last year. Their offensive line's very good. I think there's something there in Atlanta, and I could be tempted to put them up here. In fact, I'm going to put them up there. I think the Falcons are going to get 10, 11 wins this season. Actually, now that I think about it, now that I've clocked, I think the Falcons will get 10 to 13 wins 10 to 11 wins this season. And possibly the Texans as well, but I'm going to leave the Texans down here 9 wins. I think the Falcons finish with a winning record, and more specifically 10, 11 wins. I think there's potential there. The Panthers, put them straight down there. Look, Bryce Young is on an upward trajectory. T-Mac, they drafted him. JC Horn is a good quarterback on defense, but Derek Brown's a good defensive tackle. There's just not much hope there, in my opinion. Chuba Hubbard is a great running back. There's just not much hope there for the Carolina Panthers. I think they'll be lucky to get 2 wins this season. But same thing with the Saints. I think, you know, they've named Spencer Rattler their starting quarterback over Tyler Shook. Not much hope there, unfortunately. In New Orleans, I think, you know, these two are interchangeable with either getting 2, maybe 3 wins if they're lucky. Buccaneers, 10 to 13 wins. Possibly above the Chiefs. I know that's quite something to say, but I think the Buccaneers are a team, bro. I think Baker Mayfield's unbelievable. I think Bucky Irving's unbelievable. I think their wide receiver core is arguably one of the best in the league. You know, you've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then bringing in Emeka Egbuka as well. That's a team, bro. Offensive line with Tristan Wirfs and the boys. Defense looked solid last year. It's not the best, but it looked all right. I think they're going to be a good team. In fact, I'm going to put the Chiefs above them still, and maybe the Commanders. But these two are interchangeable. The Commanders and the Bucks are so I'm going to put them there. Cardinals 6-9. Nah, 3-5. Not much hope there, unfortunately. Kyler Murray is great. He doesn't have much help, though, simply because Marvin Harrison Jr. is only in his second year. I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. in my fantasy team. I hope he balls out, but there's just not much, really to go off in Arizona. James Conner looked all right last season. I don't think there's much more to say about the Cardinals. I think they finish with maybe 4 or 5 wins. The Niners, 10-13, but I'm going to put them at the bottom. I don't know. The Niners are in a interesting situation. Brock Purdy's obviously signed that huge $245 million contract. CMC's back. He's healthy. I don't know if he's going to be the same. Who knows? Brandon Ayuk's out for the first, I think, 5 weeks. Oh, man. Trent Williams, offensive line, defense. They've let Dre Greenlaw walk. They've let Talanoa Hufanga walk. Fortunately, the Niners have missed their window. It's sad to say, but, they've got a young quarterback, which is fine. But I think they've missed their prime window of winning a Super Bowl, 2 years ago. I'm going to put them here at 10-13, maybe 10-11 wins. They're definitely not a Super Bowl contender in my eyes. So, and finally, the Seattle Seahawks. I've got the Seahawks in 10-13, possibly 6-9. In fact, yes, I think they're sort of similar to the Texans. 8-9 wins, maybe, same as the Texans. I think, Sam Darnold is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I'm a huge Jalen Milroe fan, so I'd love to see him get some reps at quarterback this season. If they've brought in Cooper Kupp. I don't know, man. The Seahawks are an interesting one. They've also brought in DeMarcus Lawrence on defense from the Cowboys. Again, could go either way with them and the Texans here. But I'm going to leave them there, and I think that's pretty good. I think this looks great to me, but you guys let me know down below in the comments. But this is what I've got. This is my tier list for the 2025 NFL season. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear who you guys are rooting for this season. Obviously, look, get your bandwagons out the way, claim your team now. NFL is finally back. I'm so looking forward to it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you have enjoyed this video, do something good today. Tell someone you love them. May change their day, and we'll see you guys in the next video.